So there's been a little controversy about railroad spikes and making knives, and I decided to put it to the test today. You know, you hear people say railroad spikes aren't good for making knives; they're just good for novelty items. And of course, I've always believed that the HC, seeing HC on the head of a railroad spike, meant that it was high carbon, which, you know, I've had some people cause me to doubt that a little bit here lately. But we're going to try this. I've got one made up. This is one that I had made. And I've had really good luck making these. I mean, they harden up. I harden them up the same way I normally do. And which I've had good luck with them, getting hard and holding the edge. But we're going to test it out today. See what we can damage on it. Okay, so first off, let's show you the difference in these railroad spikes. And I had said before, if you seen the HC on it, that it was more likely a 1095 carbon steel. Well, that may not be accurate, may not be right. I was told that by somebody who worked at the railroad. But anywho, may not the HC might not be as high as 1095, but it is supposed to be a higher carbon. We'll put it that way, a higher carbon than, say, like I've got this, for example. Now this one, if you can tell by the pitting on it how bad the wear, the weather got to it, the rust. See how bad it pitted. You know, I said before, if you was looking for metal and you just wanted to look for something that might be high carbon, that it would look like it was rust kind of painted on. Well, take a look at that one. This one, cannot make out what it says on the head, but pretty sure it doesn't say HC. Here's one that was, you can see the difference, and it's been laying out in the weather and everything just as long as this one, or just as long as from the time I've had them. They've been laying out in the weather. You can see on the heads the difference on the heads, and see that one does say HC. Now I ain't gonna act like I know what carbon content is actually in this, because really I don't know. I tried looking it up and I found about 20 different things on railroad spikes. But either way, you can tell the difference between the wear on this one, or the weather on that one, and the wear on this, the weather on this one. And it does say HC. Don't know about that one, but I can't make out nothing where it's got anything on it. Now for the one that I've made, I don't know if you can tell it still, but the H is right there, and the C is way down here. We're gonna test this out. We're gonna give it a number. See if we lose the edge. Which now, what I've got here, that's a piece of oak, and it's cured. It's a cured piece of oak. I'm gonna start off by chopping on that with this knife. Let's throw that away. Go something a little more difficult here. Deer antler. Same knife. Take find me a good way to. You can see the rub marks where if it'll, let's do it again. Let's do it some more. Let's just be sure here. Let's do some more. Go a little different. Let's check it again. Still no edge deflection. Now I've got something here, we'll try it out on. Now, let's say just how good of an edge we held. Now let's try a piece of paper. One more thing about these railroad spikes. You know, I need to go ahead and mention this. I do not advise walking down the railroad picking these up. That's illegal. It's railroad property. And they will fine you, and you could possibly spend time in jail for it. It's railroad property. You can't just walk down the railroad tracks and pick them up. Now you can get permission from them. Find your railroad, you know, the whatever office or station is close by to you, or if there is one close or something. But you need to go get written permission from them. And you may not even have to walk up and down the railroad tracks anyways. They may have some there at the station that they might want to get rid of. But they do throw these out on the side of the tracks for a reason. And the reason they throw these out on the side is because whenever they have a list of where they're at, or I assume they have a list of where they leave them at, and when they're repairing the tracks, then sometimes they go to that pile and they get what they need. So I do not advise going down the railroad track picking up railroad spikes, because you could get in trouble for it. Mine, I just got lucky and I got me a pile of them from the auction. I was at an auction and, well, I bought a $5 box lot and those just happened to be in it. So there you go, there you have it. If you're wondering about whether railroad spike will make a good knife or not, just look for it at HC. It may not be 1095 carbon, but it is a high carbon. It may not be what some people consider high carbon, but I just put that through the test. Started off with a piece of oak board, then I went to a deer antler. Deer antler is very hard, by the way. One of the worst things that you could try to chop through. I mean, if it's going to dull your knife, or it's going to roll your knife, or if it's going to chip or break, it's going to do it on a piece of bone. But there we go. You can see there ain't no edge deflection, no rolling. Still hot. It is still sharp. Actually, it's just as sharp now as it was before it started, so it didn't hurt that blade at all. And you see me cut the paper with it. That paper was a little bit damp, but it's still paper. So if anybody is interested in wondering if they can make a good knife out of a railroad spike, yes, you can make a pretty decent knife. uh, with a railroad spike. And now whenever I quenched this one, I didn't use water. I didn't use a salt brine mixture. I just quenched it with my in oil like I do all of my other knives. And whenever I got done with it, after it cooled down a little bit, I tested it with the file, and it was hardened. So that's living proof. If y'all, if you hadn't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider subscribing to the channel. And thanks to everyone who has subscribed so far. I do appreciate it. See you next time.